if I died today, tomorrow you would come on here and use my death to promote Avoiding Babylon.
Yeah. So Rob passes on Tuesday. There's no show Tuesday or Thursday. So the third show the following Tuesday, the hunt begins for your replacement. And I'll do auditions. I bring on Hitchborn.
This is a bad idea.
Antile.
Yeah, dude. Even if that gave me an 800-pound squat, man, I don't know, man.
Joshua Charles.
What on earth is he talking about?
Send out invites to all the current, podcasters, inviting them on. Make sure not to send one to Trent.
Sorry, Rob. I want that co-host spot.
Is that you better not get us another ban with the stupid the rules.
Oh.
If that gets us in trouble with if this stream gets killed right now, are you kidding me?
Or are you talking about the gun at the end or what?
Yes, they have these crazy gun rules on YouTube. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Who's your editor? Who put that together?
Rob's supposed to watch it beforehand, and Rob does a show called Guns and Rosary, so he knows all the rules of YouTube.
You have to understand, like, guns are such a everyday part of my life. I don't think about it.
Oh my goodness! If you get I will be so mad if this stream gets killed. Okay, so Cameron O'Hearn finally coming on to Avoiding Babylon. We've been
Avoiding Babylon finally having me on.
No. We have known.
I've been clamoring to get on the show.
You've been in the chat several times, and every time you're in the chat, I'm like, Cameron, we want to get you on. Like, reach out to us.
Take a hint. I'm trying to leave the smartest, coolest comments. Take a hint.
So we were just talking. So, all right. So we did Mass of the Ages 2 review, and that was the first time we had Father Nix on the show. Like, we reached out to a bunch of people and said, hey, will you come on and pop on and give your thoughts on Mass of the Ages 2 when that came out? So that was like one of the first non-trivia shows we did. Then Mass of the Ages 3 comes out, and we're reviewing it. And like, I think I was being like a little critical of like one or two parts, and all of a sudden I saw you in the chat. And I just totally stopped being critical. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And everybody's like, you suck, Anthony.
I was not in a good place. Yeah, that was tough. But I mean, throughout the whole process, it's a part of you receive criticism. You want to make the best product. And so, I mean, we have screenings to just give feedback.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as an artist, you're like, bleeding out your art and wanting people to see your vision, and critique is all part of the thing. Like, it's
when you popped in the chat, like I'm like, this is his baby. Like this is your baby. Like, you've been working on this thing for so long. So I was like, all right, let me back off a little bit, because there were some amazing parts of part 3, especially when you guys went to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I remember that being like the
Anthony felt right at home.
Yeah.
You have some African in your bloodline? Did you do?
He's Sicilian, so yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's all. So, but so what was that like for you? Like, which one? First off, part 1 came out to the greatest fanfare. Like, part 1 was just exhilarating for everyone to watch, right? And then
because Traditionis Custodes came out July of 2021, with the document that banned, the Latin Mass, or restricted it, I should say. And then our premiere was the month after that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I didn't plan that, but it was perfect timing. And then episode 2 came out May of 2022. And then 3 took a little longer because we were also forming our nonprofit, developing priest training and all that.
Well, there was also the Father Jackson thing that happened, right?
Yeah.
So like the Father, I totally forgot
us.
about that.
God
Like
bless
the
him.
Father Jackson, because Father Jackson was so good in that documentary, and then that whole thing comes out, and you had to.
He had the best line in episode 2 that obviously never saw the light of day. And
can you say what the line was?
Well, yeah, he was basically saying, because I was saying, well, it was my question at the end of episode 1. It was like the cliffhanger. It says,
right.
All right,
so
yeah, what happened? Like, why do most Catholics not believe in the Eucharist? And then he leans forward. He says, "A perfect storm." And then he goes into explaining, we have great priests in the Novus Ordo. In our diocese, we have great seminaries. The priests are very reverent. But then he goes on to say that it's the rite that's the problem.
Yeah.
And the way he said it was just like, yes, I got like when you interview people, especially because I'm also an editor, I'm one of the editors on each of the films. I keep those lines in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, we got it. If this interview gives us that one line, like we got it. But yeah, so the Father Jackson stuff comes out. Lord, please bless him, bless his victims. Lord have mercy.
So, okay, so we do, because people are asking what's the Father Jackson thing. Because I look, there's a lot of new trads, and they may not have known, but Father Jackson was a pretty big part of part one. He gave some really insightful things, and everyone that knew Father Jackson thought he was like the pinnacle of the, like, if you're looking for a trad priest and you want to get some really great insights, he's the one to talk to. And then
he had a really good, really amazing book on the liturgy.
Yep. And it just came out that he had some horrific things on his computer, the dealing with children. And it was like, nobody could believe it. It was so heartbreaking because none of us believed it, because there was never even like the slightest accusation against him for anything. His people at his parish loved him. It was a really difficult thing. And I remember you struggling with what to do with that. I remember that was like a really big thing. You guys were struggling, like, should we take this out? It's kind of already there. And then you guys kind of put a re-edited version out, right?
Yeah. So we were working on we're working on episode 2 that came out. And then we decided to take down episode 1. Actually, I got the news. Remember when Church Militant
views and you had to pull it down?
We had 1.6 million views, and it was a really hard decision. It was the first decision we made was we're leaving it up. Like we're flipping filmmakers just trying to survive. Yeah. Like, yes, we made a thing. It's in the past. We have to move. We're treading water. Like, we're trying to survive. Mm-hmm. It was our split second decision, but I was on set in filming at the SSPX seminary when that Church Militant article came out. And I remember talking to my team, some really close advisors, and I finally just took time to pray about it. I was just like, well, I feel like I made like a rational, logistical decision, but I was like, well, what decision do I want to stand by, like, at the end of my life? And then so we talked with the team, like, we actually discerned it, because the frustrating thing with Church Militant at the time is they're like, what's your answer? What's the story? Like, we're publishing. It's just like, we're going to leave it. And they're like, they're leaving it. They're the worst. And I'm just like, I'm filming an interview with Bishop Fillet. Like, I can't focus on this right now.
And he hadn't pled guilty or admitted to anything at that point yet, right? Like, it was right after the accusation.
I don't remember the timeline, honestly. But so we took down episode 1, and then we had to re-edit episode 2, like the parts he was in. So we had to, okay, let's get some more footage.
Like Scott Hahn interview at this point to try to fill that in there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was very difficult. And yeah, and then episode 3, let's finish this thing. Let's finish it strong. So it was, started the Kickstarter in March of 2020. No, the Kickstarter, we filmed the Kickstarter March of 2020, but we did the Kickstarter July of 2020. Mm-hmm. So like the world shut down, obviously. And then, we didn't release episode 3 until 2024. So we did 3 films in 4 years. And that was a roller coaster. It was my life. It was like every time I was on a date with my wife, Amber, we're talking about Mass of the Ages. What do you think about this scene? What if we did it this way? And she's literally seen Mass of the Ages, like the whole trilogy, probably 30 or 40 times, because we would watch the whole thing, work through it. And so she has a credit at the end, post-production helper or something like that. Yeah.
So what always interested me about you, like your temperament, like you never craved the limelight. Like I always felt like you never really liked doing these things. like these things. Like you just came off like you were just like, oh crap, I got to do another stupid podcast and talk with people. Like that's just the personality type you seem to have. Like you're great at it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I could tell like you'd rather just do the work on the film and like the promotional stuff. I feel like I always felt like you were just like, all right, I got to do this thing because I got to promote the thing. But like, I don't really want to do that.
That's true. I mean, I'll be at churches like in different countries and people will say, literally these words, they'll say, "Are you Mass of the Ages?" I was like, what kind of a question is that? Yes, I'm that guy who you associate with Mass of the Ages. And you're right. Like I wish I could make the films. I wish they could have a big impact, but I wish no one would look at me. Like I just want to make art. And I like hearing that they do well, but I don't need people to do that in public.
Like you're not being glorious where like you need everybody to give you attention. It just seemed like you wanted your project to get the attention. So,
yeah, exactly.
He's a lot more like me than like you, Ant.
Yeah, definitely. So the other huge blowback you got was does the traditional movement need a rebrand?
Yeah, I remember that.
Out, and it was. Does
my
the
camera?
You say that, and he decided he doesn't want to be on camera.
Yeah, he doesn't even want to be on screen with us anymore. Because that was, we can still hear you, so
okay.
it's all right. The camera's
there.
But that tweet, I remember going ape crap, like all over. Everybody's losing their mind. Who does this guy think he is? He's been a trad for 10 minutes, and he's trying to give us a rebrand. But like for me. Like especially me, I was a new trad at that moment, at that time period, and there were a lot of annoying a-hole trads in the movement. Like they were just like these guys who it was almost like they didn't want to let anybody in. They were constantly like ragging on the new people coming in and stuff. And I think your intentions were good. Just like, hey, do we need kind of like a rebrand to give like a maybe a gentler image out there because we're being told that is being banned.
What is a brand? It's a perception. That's all a brand is. Like when Coca-Cola does ads and you see polar bears hugging Santa, or I don't even know what they do, but they like drink.
It's all AI now.
Yeah, it is. They drink Coca-Cola in the North Pole. They're not telling you how much Coca-Cola costs or where to buy Coca-Cola. They're just trying to evoke a feeling and a perception. And all we were saying at the time was, man, we need to fix the perception, the brand of the Latin Mass. But I can totally see why people took that as, why do you need to change anything about the Latin Mass? Or who do you think you are? Like you discovered this along with us. I'm like, yeah, I'm no one, but I'm just saying, like, as an artist and seeing the online discussion rooms, like we gotta do better. You know,
it's look, there's also a thing about like this youth coming into the movement now, right? So like the trad movement up to that point had really been the Michael Matts, and it had been like a kind of an older crowd because there wasn't this youthful movement toward it. And there was something really interesting about the Francis Pontificate, which was that everybody just kind of got turned to tradition during it because it was so insane under Francis. It really was. And then you start getting, guys like Taylor Marshall talking about the Latin Mass and trying to push people to go. And then COVID hits. And when COVID hit, it was just a game changer because I think people saw the way the Eucharist was being treated by receiving in the hand with everybody fiddling with their masks and all that stuff. So it kind of lit a fire under the movement, and a whole bunch of people that had never gone before were just like, I'm going to go check this thing out.
We filmed a live stream during COVID of the Triduum. So our parish did it all out, the Triduum with all the glorious, trappings. And I was filming it as a live stream, and our church is empty. But 6,000 people tuned in live. It's like, we can't fit that many people in our parish, but yeah, you're right. It was a zeitgeist that grew out of control.
It was just such a bizarre time, man. You think back to it was an exciting time too, though. It was, you had this excitement about the movement back then, and how have you, man? Because under Leo, like we're all hoping there's some like loosening of the restrictions and stuff like that. But have you received any kind of feedback from from anybody in the hierarchy that maybe the film helped form some of their opinions and change their perceptions of things? Or
Yeah, we've certainly got messages from bishops. I don't know of bishops who would, have the ear of Pope Leo. I do have, there's things I could say, but I don't think I will, just because I think they would shine a spotlight on me in a vainglorious way. Like I don't need to say certain things, but I know that the films have made an impact all the way up to the top. What I can say is our priest training, which is free, that we produced. So a priest or anyone can go and sign up, and you're walked through the traditional Latin low mass step by step with animations and voiceover. We have thousands of people signed up to that. And we're training literally hundreds of Novus Ordo priests who wouldn't know the Latin Mass otherwise. And we've actually, we've trained a couple bishops. They've gone through our entire training. And I think 4 bishops total are in the training, but 2 have graduated. And so these are bishops who don't want their name, but they don't want me to tell Pope Leo who they are, but they're legitimate bishops that we've talked to in different countries and here and elsewhere, who've gone through the training and now know the Latin Mass. So there's this quiet part, right? The quiet elephant in the room that's waiting to. What do elephants do? Do they pounce? Do they roar? I don't know. They make the elephants.
I can make an elephant noise if you want, but it's not going to be fun for anybody.
Could do that, actually.
So all right, so now we're reviewing episode 3. You're in the chat, and Rob and I are talking, and I throw out this idea, and I'm like, you know what we should do? We should get a trad round table together.
Oh yeah,
and you guys throw a trad round table together and don't invite me.
No one holds grudges.
I did not throw anything together. I just showed up.
So then they do these series of trad roundtables. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not accepted in the trad movement. I guess I see how it is. So then Rob and I decide to start this series called Faith in Film with Father Nix, and we review.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Movie.
Okay. That's exactly where this is going.
Okay.
And we review. So we did a whole season of this. We did 12 or 13 episodes. We did them once a month. We did it for a full year
with us.
We got Mel Gibson on for an episode.
Super, super jealous about that, by the way.
Yeah.
Keep going.
What's interesting, oh man, I was so mad at Nix because Father Nix wouldn't let me ask any questions that were of any. He wouldn't let me ask questions
hold on, I get a rebuttal period.
Yeah, you absolutely do. You absolutely do. Yes.
You have the floor. Okay, I'll stop
So Father Nix, we get Mel Gibson, and he won't let me ask any questions that don't. We did the movie with the Seventh-day Adventist kid that won't fight in the war. What movie was that?
Darn, what was that called? Mel Gibson directed it.
It's got Tom Holland, right? No,
not Tom Holland. The other
Spider-Man.
The other Spider-Man. Andrew. Whatever. So all right. So
Hacksaw Ridge.
There you go. Okay. So he won't let me ask any questions about anything but Hacksaw Ridge. But I wanted to ask him, because my favorite Mel Gibson movie is Apocalypto, and I think it's I think it is the best Christian movie because it shows the pre-Christian world, and it shows how savage the pre-Christian world is. And then at the end of the movie, you see that word
first strike. Remember,
that word is a little iffy when you say that, but the Christian missionaries come at the end of the movie, but you see what the world was like before the gospel is there, So I wanted to ask him about that a little bit. I also wanted to ask him, like, how do you make a Christian film that isn't cheesy or corny, kind of like, and I'm not trying to knock The Chosen, but The Chosen comes off with the accents and stuff like that. And as I'm asking him that question about cheesy movies, the connection gets cut off, and like we had to re-edit it, and we come back on, and it was a frustrating interview. So we did this series 12 episodes, but we kept getting like copyright strikes because we were airing clips of the movie. We would air a clip of the movie, and then we would discuss that clip because they weren't strictly Catholic movies. They were more secular movies that dealt with Catholicism. So we did like Alfred Hitchcock's I Confess. We did A Man for All Seasons. We did The Mission. Like we did it. Like we tried to just do these movies, and we would pick a clip, and then we would discuss it and say like what from a Catholic angle, like how this is a powerful scene, whatever. So, but we stopped it because we have to figure out the copyright thing. I think we can figure that out now. But you guys are doing a new series called what is it? A Film Crusade?
Almost, Rob. You tell them what it is.
You think it pretty close, actually.
Movie Crusade, and
Yeah,
and now
Movie
I see like you had Father Calvin Robinson come down, you had Father Nix come down. We still haven't gotten an invite, but we're having you on to promote it on our channel for you. But I'm waiting for my invite on. But why don't you tell us about it a little bit?
The funniest thing is if you never invite him on now, or if you
Well,
just
hold on.
invite
What are my
me.
thoughts about all the
things I just said.
all of
You shunning me and now finally coming on with us.
I think Apocalypto is great. I thought it was a great movie. Like the Mayan culture and the sacrifice, like a really crazy escape movie.
Wait, did you hear any of like us teasing this episode out before you came on? Because I've been teasing this episode out with like our audience. I'm like, oh, wait till I get him on. When I get Cameron on, I'm gonna call him out on all this stuff.
Okay, well, no, I'm all for it. So what? Okay, I need you to now we're in the cross examination. So I need you to ask me questions. You gotta challenge me. You gotta accuse me to my face, and then I'll respond to it.
No, how come I wasn't invited to the Trad Roundtable? What happened there?
I just showed up. I didn't know who was doing it.
Who stole the idea from us? Was it Gasper's? Who took it?
I think you got to take it up with Flanders. He might have been the mastermind. Yeah,
Sounds about right.
Yeah, he's pretty. He's the trad godfather, or no, like the trad cousin, probably the trad
Cousin Eddie.
Yeah. So so we're in agreement. I didn't slight you there.
All right. I don't think you ever slighted us. I'm just teasing, obviously. I'm just trying to make the interview interesting. But
to be honest, though, when your team sent us the email for this, I'm like, Ant, you will not believe the email I just got.
Well, I think what happened. Okay, you guys invited. I think where this started, where our beef started,
was Jake. It's all his fault.
Was when we released episode 2, and I think you invited me on or something, right? To discuss
I think I reached out to Jake and asked if you could come on, and you weren't able to.
Yeah, so I think at that time I was just like, I think I was on maybe 3 different shows. I don't remember, but I was completely burnt out. Like I was like.
Yeah, we were small.
Shell of a man.
Too. We were a very small channel. We were like the new guys coming in,
and that might have been it too. I might have said, "Hey, Jake, anyone with more than 1,000 subscribers or something like that." I might have said something like that.
Yeah, it was probably that.
And now I'm like, please, oh my gosh, how many subscribers do you guys have? Like 50,000. I was like, please, can you have me on? Movie Crusade.
We got 1,000 people watching live right now. So.
Movie Crusade only has 500 subscribers, so I was like, oh man, don't step on the little guy, okay? I'm the little guy.
How did you guys come up with the Movie Crusade idea?
Oh my goodness, that is a question. I got to go into my.
They saw Faith in Film. That's a.
Wow. So it started just as an idea. I didn't know if I was going to do it just myself as a podcast, just like a fun hobby. But I like these shows I was watching on YouTube that are like sports shows or board game shows. I'm into board games. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a movie show where we talk about movies like guys talk about sports? So it's really high energy. There's segments. It's, and then Tony loved the idea because at the time we were thinking, well, okay, Mass the Ages, we went up to bat 3 times. We got a hit. Now what do we do? Like we have these other show ideas, but what do we do marketing wise? Like how do we widen this funnel? Because our funnel's this big. We need ideas that kind of reach outside of that funnel. So he loved the idea. But then we've discovered these encyclicals, and this blew my mind. I did not know that Popes Pius XI and Pius XII each wrote an encyclical on film, and that Pius XII wrote an apostolic exhortation on film called The Ideal Film. And so these encyclicals talk about the psychological power of movies. And basically, so we had Father Nick speak at an event for us, and Father Nick put it like this. He said, okay, take the principles of Aquinas. What you see affects your imagination, and your imagination affects your will. Like everything we do, everything we learn comes through our senses. So based on what the church is saying, and the Pope, if you read these documents, the popes are startling in what they're saying about movies and TV, like the effects of them. The conclusion is movies are sending literally billions of people to hell or billions of people to heaven, like, or creating the opportunity for grace. You know, I'm not saying they're salvific or anything like that. So that created this new layer, because we're like, well, how do we entertain and market and X, Y, and Z? And now it's like, oh my gosh, there's a mission falling kind of in our laps. Now I think the early episodes of Movie Crusade were like stumbling along, figuring out what we're doing. But the more we read about this, I mean, we have plans to really, well, one thing I'll mention is they had something called the Haze Code in 1930. Are you familiar with that?
No, you mentioned it in the green room. I don't know what it is.
So in 1930, there was a Catholic layman and a Catholic priest who got together to write guidelines for Hollywood. And at the time, and even in the 20s, like Hollywood was kind of out of control. Mm-hmm. They were chaotic. So these good Catholics got together, write these principles based on Catholic moral theology. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. Like things like don't show abuse, or don't show a couple in bed together, or don't make people sympathetic with crime, you know? Don't make fun of clerics, you know, principles like this. Hollywood didn't listen. Hollywood didn't care until the bishops got involved. So the bishops in America, led by the Bishop of Cincinnati, I think his name is John McNicholas, he rallied the bishops together to form something called the Catholic Legion of Decency, and said, okay, every year we're going to get our parishes together on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, December 8th, and we're going to take a pledge to avoid all of the Hollywood filth that violates these principles. And so the bishops would also make determinations on what films are acceptable, what films are, you know, questionable, and then what films are condemned. And the pledge is you're going to avoid condemned films. 7 million Catholics took the pledge. And they would actually read it out at parishes, like the homily. They would read the pledge, and the Catholics there would take the pledge, and they got 7 million Catholics to do this. And then Hollywood, their ticket sales started to plummet. So then Hollywood started to listen. And eventually they demanded that before any film would be distributed in America, it had to abide by the code.
Yeah. Like, so they wanted the bishop's approval before they would release something, knowing that they wouldn't get boycotted.
And they weren't exactly working. They knew that the bishops were abiding by the code in their ratings. But then they put a Catholic in charge of enforcing the code. So no film could be distributed if this Catholic leader said, no, it violates the code. You have to change these things. Yeah. For example, there's a film called The Maltese Falcon with Humphrey Bogart. It's based on a book, and the book is very lurid, and there's like there's adultery stuff in it. If you watch the movie, it's actually very toned down. And that was because of the Haze Code. So they were in production, and then, you know, they showed the film to the leadership and said, no, you can't show this unless you change these things. And then they had to adapt. So that's the power the church had over Hollywood in the 30s. Now, what we feel called to Now this is me speaking as Cameron O'Hearn. Like, I don't know. Obviously, Mass Stages is like the most precious thing to me. Like, but I'm just saying, like, when I speak about what God is calling me to do, I'm just saying me as an individual, what I believe he's calling me to do, and Tony and others, is what if we brought the code back? And the point is not to save Hollywood, because they don't care about the money anymore. They're just gonna keep rolling and whistling and falling off the cliff. Like, they don't care. They will spend money and waste money to propagandize our families. Like, they don't care.
Yeah, we've seen that with Disney. We've seen that, like, their message is more important to them than making money. They're willing to take a loss to trans your kids at this point. That's how insane these people are.
Yeah, but what we see as the solution is man, like, you know, the Catholic Church is a sleeping giant, you know, 1 billion strong. When the Haze Code came out originally, you had Protestants getting on board with it. You had Muslims getting on board with it. You know, conservative values getting on board with it. And we have completely lost the plot when it comes to talking about movies and thinking about movies, and the extent that movies have on affecting and infecting us. Like, movies can be really dangerous and harmful to the moral imagination. And this is what Pope Pius XI said. He said, the purpose of art is the formation of the moral personality. Like, the reason men confess sexual sins so often is because of our moral imagination, right? It leads us to sin. What are we consuming? It's not just the P word that men are consuming. It's also silly stuff, like stupid stuff, like comedies like Talladega Nights or whatever it is. It's like, when you start twisting the truth and in subtle ways and treating sex in malicious ways or in different ways and warping your moral imagination in that way, like, we don't understand how pernicious and deadly this is. And this is coming just from a faithful Catholic reading these encyclicals and light bulbs going off.
Catherine Bennett from Catholic Unscripted the other day put out a Substack talking about the Friends generation, how she grew up, her generation, watching Friends, and this goofy comedy that everybody thought they were watching. But what it actually did, I think she said the show starts off with like a woman running away at the altar, and it was like she kind of put it in she kind of put it in like the Christian context of the story of kind of like the people of the old covenant running away from the covenant. So, but either way, the whole point was, you're watching this show of these single people sleeping around, and they're like, well, I made them wait 3 dates before I did. Now, this subtle comedy that everybody thought they were watching was on NBC at 8 p.m. at prime time, and people were letting their teenagers watch it. It led to this generation that had hookup culture. And look at where we are now, where you have OnlyFans and you have the whatever podcast. And this is the degeneracy. It all started with sitcoms like that, because film has such a deep effect on our imagination. You think about the first Seinfeld episode where George goes for the massage and it moves. A man's rubbing his back and it moves. And he's like, not that there's anything wrong with that. We went from not that there's anything wrong with that to gay marriage to cutting children's genitals off, like in a span of 15 to 20 years, because that propaganda is so powerful.
Yeah, that's why the popes say that evil motion pictures, that includes movies and TV, can, quote, destroy the moral fiber of a nation. They were saying this in 1930 and 1957. Like, where are we at now? And the reason it's powerful, it's psychologically powerful, is like, you know, books or podcasts, like what you're doing, a conversation you have with a friend, or you're trying to get someone back in the faith, you're sending text messages, all these efforts, schools, they have to get over the fact that people have barriers up. They're blocking. They don't want to be, they feel like you're going to convince them of something. So they have their defenses up. When you watch a movie, your defenses are down and you're saying, tell me a story, take me on a journey. And here's where the power comes. In any effective movie or TV show, you are rooting for the hero. So let's say Friends. You're rooting for I don't even know the different Friends individuals. I know one is named Chandler, but let's say Chandler is in a promiscuous relationship. You're rooting for Chandler, even though you're married, you're a good Catholic. So I'm not even talking about like, oh yeah, the crazy OnlyFans people. I'm saying us, the three of us. When we watch these things, the psychological power takes over. The popes call it an enchanting effect, a commanding influence. It takes over because of the power of story. We're rooting for the character to get what the character wants.
Yeah, like to not get caught in some adulterous situation or something. It's like, oh, I hope the girlfriend doesn't walk in, something like that. And it's really the power of story is so strong. It's how we see the world. We see the world through story. So you think about the idea of this magic box put in every single home in the 1930s, right? Or 1940s, whenever people start getting televisions in their home. And it's just this propaganda box that just starts feeding us these stories and warping that generation from that time. And it just continues on till this day.
Yeah. And that's why like I'm fired up. Like as a filmmaker, like I don't care about
this guy's acting like he doesn't watch Friends, but is out here airing Chandler's dirty laundry from season 2.
All I know is Captain Sobel is in Friends. That's all I know.
yeah, because Band of Brothers is a good story.
Even though much of it is propaganda, I now realize.
Yeah. So the Pope Pius the 12th, I believe it was the 12th, he gave us 3 categories for rating films: good, dangerous, and harmful. So it's interesting because, good is not an ultimately relative term. So it's like most film criticism is just like, this is especially true in the secular world. It's just like what I got out of it, what I thought was interesting, what I thought was cool or entertaining. That's good. But obviously we mean more by good. What is harmful? Well, harmful is something that infects or harms your moral personality, your imagination, your will, it affects you. Dangerous is kind of like, well, you got to know yourself. Like there's that middle category of films where like I know my line, like I can't watch certain movies with certain actresses. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, no, I don't even want that temptation. And so yourself, and then you got to know the content. And it's like some things you can condemn for everyone, and other things you just got to caution people. And I think that is the future of film criticism. And, from a Catholic perspective.
And since you're not going to get the bishops on board to put another Catholic league of decency together, you do it from a lay perspective, and it doesn't just have to be Catholics on board with this. You can get Protestant Christians on board with it. You can get, people with just a general sense of the danger that lies in these stories. And maybe you can form a coalition strong enough to at least get people to put warnings up for their children and go, wait, maybe we shouldn't let our kids watch this stuff because it's shaping the imaginations of our children and the lives they're going to lead.
Yeah. If they could get 7 million Catholics when they, their mode of communication was booklets and homing pigeons or whatever they used back then, radio, like internet is our friend in this instance, because we can galvanize a really large audience. And the point is, then you have an audience for films, and then, Catholic or Christian filmmakers who are making really high quality art don't need to find a new audience, from square one. Like this can be a tide that rises all boats, because there are some good filmmakers out there.
What have you guys been doing? Like, how is each episode kind of developed? Like, because you said the early episodes were one thing, but they're kind of developing into something different.
Yeah. So early on, we knew there was kind of the principle of, okay, what's a good movie? Because we're one of the segments is we rank movies. So we're pitting movies against it's like an objective list. It's ultimately can't be completely objective, but it strives for objectivity. And we knew at least that what a good movie was. A good movie is not just entertaining. A good movie moves you towards a good, like a real good. The more effectively it moves, the more effective, the higher it can be at moving someone towards a good. So you see how I'm like flipping that phrase, because a good movie is not a passive thing. It's not an entertainment passive thing. It's moving you towards a good. But that's kind of wishy-washy.
All Christian art should do that, right? All Christian art should elevate your heart towards heaven. It should move you in a direction towards heaven. So that would be something that's good. But then when you start getting into harmful and dangerous,
that's why like the last 30 minutes of silence sucks, right?
Yeah.
That's why the whole rest of the movie great, but that last 30 minutes demoralizes you.
Yeah, I mean, silence is a great example, because if you look at a specific scene, you can say this is a great scene because you have fantastic displays of martyrdom and faithfulness, and I don't think Scorsese like shies away from showing their heroic sacrifice. But you're right to say, in context, as a film as a whole, it does say that faith is private. Like faith should be private.
Yeah.
And it's not important enough to share with other people. So now the question is that film harmful or dangerous? What do you guys think?
I would say harmful.
Harmful.
Okay, so now again, harmful is you say you should not watch this.
Wait, which one's worse, dangerous or harmful?
Harmful.
Harmful.
Dangerous is like, don't climb this cliff, you might fall. And
I would say dangerous. I would say if you need to. I think if you know yourself, you could watch that movie in context. But harmful, I would say nobody should watch. I thought you had it. I thought dangerous was the worst one. Yeah, so I would say that's dangerous. I think you can watch that movie knowing yourself in context and say, okay, I understand why the end of this movie is terrible.
I think being warned beforehand.
Yeah, so that
would help make it dangerous and not harmful. Yeah.
Yeah, so that sounds to me like a categorization of dangerous, because like I would say to both of you, like you can watch it.
Yeah.
You just know that like if you're formed in your faith, you can watch it.
That's true.
But you wouldn't recommend it in a blank slate to random people. Like you would say, no, just stay away from it unless you know the person. So that's where that middle category comes in, dangerous. So
if someone's looking into the faith, you wouldn't recommend it to them. Yeah.
Because the other thing is the Haze Code was written in 1930, and this is before the church wrote encyclicals on film. So there's actually new principles that the encyclicals bring up that aren't in the original Haze Code. Obviously, today we have things like transgenderism, AI. Like, to what extent can film use AI? Is it deceptive? You know what I mean? So it's an exciting project to rewrite the Haze Code, and we're getting the help of moral theologians. We obviously want Neil Obstad imprimatur. Not that those are hard to get. Like you can, they're not necessarily hard to get. So it's an exciting project.
What else do you guys got going on? Because all right, well, I also forgot to ask you, like, out of the three Mass of the Ages films, which one received the biggest criticism, and what was that like going through? Was it like a lot of negative criticism where you were feeling down about it, or was it just like, all right, that's, I expected some people wouldn't love it?
So I think, surprisingly, you'd think episode 2 would receive the most criticism, but I think it was actually episode 3 that received the most criticism, just based on the fact that people wanted a silver bullet. They wanted the answer. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do in this small town in Kentucky or something? It's like, I don't know. Like and the church doesn't know yet. Like, we're living in a time where the Pope is testing the limits of Vatican I. Like, what are the limits of papal authority? And it's like, okay, what happens in the church is you have a statement from the magisterium, and then for decades or centuries, that's tested, that's put to its limits, and then the church clarifies it. So we're in this middle ground where there's more questions than answers. And so the third film is ultimately about suffering well and suffering out of love and devotion. It's a film about devotion. So, but I'm totally fine with that. Like, I understand why episode 3 would receive the most criticism. It was also the third film of any trilogy is the hardest because you're trying to wrap up a story and tell a story, and you're wrapping up a story from the first 2 films, but the trilogy can be watched. You don't have to watch all the films, to appreciate it. You can watch them individually. And then I would say that as an artist, when you're criticized, and I think other artists out there would agree with this, like, it's the criticisms that echo the most. So you can be criticized once and praised 10 times and you feel down, and I mean, you guys probably experience that. It's not just
Rob doesn't handle negative criticism well. I don't care at all.
It rolls off of Anthony's back. Me, on the other hand,
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's also the line of work I'm in. Like, I'm not just, everyone's criticized, everyone experiences that, but when you make something and put it out there, like, here's my child. Yeah. Tell me what's wrong with my child, It's tough.
Yeah, that's got to be tricky, man.
I mean, so you obviously you love film, right? I mean, you did Mass of the Ages, you're doing the movie reviews, you're a filmmaker. What got you into it? Like, what was the thing that, as a kid, like, made you know that you wanted to be involved in film growing up?
So my dad followed me around with a video camera all the time. Not just me, but me and my 6 siblings. He passed away in 2018. It was like right after I moved to Ohio, and then I was starting like a company to make nonprofit fundraising films, like making videos.
Mm-hmm.
And after his funeral, I got all his tapes back. They're actually right here. I'm pointing at him. His tapes are in there, his DV tapes, and I digitized all of them. And I was watching them back, and I noticed, as a young 3-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever, I was constantly asking to, like, touch the camera, look at the camera, see what my dad was seeing. But it was super therapeutic to go through all that footage the year after my dad died, because I put together a little documentary about him. But yeah, to answer your question, there was hints of it, but I didn't know it was I didn't know you could make a career out of it. I was in 6th grade just making stupid skit videos with my friends.
How old are you?
I'm 30. How old am I? 36.
36. So your dad passed in 2018. That was
my age, yeah.
7 years ago. So you were like 29. Dad passed. Are you the youngest of your siblings, or
No, I'm the 3rd bronze medalist. I'm
so
one of 7.
How old was your youngest sibling when your dad passed?
Now I gotta do some math. So how old did you say I was?
29.
You were 29.
I was 29, which means my older brother was 33, which means my youngest sister was 10.
Ooh.
Oh man, that's so hard. She lost.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oof.
It was completely unexpected. It was like, healthy guy. He had just got done with a bike ride. He looked fit. Like, he would bike all the time. And he just collapsed. It was a heart attack that just took him out. Like, they call it the Widowmaker, if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
And
it's like carotid artery or something.
Dead before he
he was like dead before he hit the bed. Like, he was out.
Oh man, that's harsh.
Yeah, it was harsh. And it was, man, when you look at your dad's corpse Like when I saw that, my faith took on a whole new meaning because I'm like, I believe one day that will rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it makes you think about your own death. It's like, it made me realize that the most important thing here, I got to keep this up there for advertising. The most important thing is to die well. Like if you don't die well, and what I mean by that is like obviously sanctifying grace, die with hope, the theological virtues, then your life is a waste. Like nothing else matters. You die well. My dad died well. Like he was just a good man all the way through. So it is a blessing, actually. Like his example was really strong for me.
So when you married your wife, how old were you when you got married?
Oh, well, I need you to do some math for me because we got married in 2013. So that was 12 years ago. So I was
24.
24.
Got married at 24. Were you and your wife both taking your faith seriously at the time? Or was it kind of just like, oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, so we had recently discovered the Latin Mass, and we were kind of going to both. We were trying to do the straddling, like one Sunday Novus Ordo, one Sunday Latin Mass, and then at a certain point, I think we're engaged at this point. I said, we have to raise our family with the Latin Mass, and that's a non-negotiable.
You guys met at Net?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, Margot?
I went to I had to go to Net growing up. Well familiar with that.
What? You had to go to Net? What do you mean by that?
It was we had to go monthly for our
your confirmation.
Yep.
Okay, confirmation retreat. I mean, that's a whole other thing. That's like charismatic evangelization.
Rob and I talk about this because like my parents would make me go.
You went to Life Teen.
Yeah, I went to Life Teen, and then I also had to go to like
kind of close, yeah.
And then I had to go to these charismatic like retreats and like spend like we would go to we went to one in Scranton, Pennsylvania at Scranton University, and like we spent the weekend in the college dorms, you know. And I've told the story on air, but everyone around me is crying because the Holy Spirit is coming upon them, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm open to the Holy Spirit. Like, if you want to give it to me, I'm here. Like, I'm open to it. And like every single person there is weeping, hysterically crying. All the girls around me are crying. And I'm just like, I guess God doesn't want to give me the Holy Spirit. I don't know.
And it's like, this isn't on the list of when I can cry in my life, guys. I don't know what to do.
It damaged my faith though, because it was like, I don't know, man. And then, and it was like this super, like, it was a very artificial, superficial high that you had. And then they brought us in this room, the gymnasium, and everyone's praying in tongues around me. And I'm like, what the heck is it? Like, it was just very off-putting for me. And I think it kind of like messed me up a little bit. And then going through like just living as like a Novus Ordo Catholic, like I have 8 siblings. I grew up in my mom was super Catholic. My dad played music for the music ministry. And I just kind of, I don't know. It didn't hold for me. So like I was never an atheist. I always believed in God, but I had these like periods where I just would live as though God didn't exist for like stretches. And then something bad would happen in my life and I'd go running right to God and I'd get right back to church. I go to confession and, you know, like, but it wasn't until I discovered the Latin Mass that like I've had just a steady faith life. Like I always had this roller coaster of a faith ride in the Novus Ordo. And then I found the Latin Mass and it's just been like a foundational rock in my life, in my family, for my children, for everything. So it was life-changing when I went.
NET stands for National Evangelization Teams, and it began out of a community called the Community of Christ the Redeemer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And what they focus on is sending teams around, so people who take a year of their life off, they send them around the country to do retreats for young people, middle school.
They're Catholic Mormons.
No, no, that's very little overlap, but a nice try. No,
I just derailed the whole conversation.
No, I think I derailed it. Here's what I want to say about NET. So I was so obviously I met my wife at Net. We were on the same team. I did 2 years on the road, so to speak. I was at a parish. I was a year as a supervisor, and there's a kind of a dichotomy. So I agree with what you're saying, but I would qualify it. I think that, so it was because of Net that I first learned how to practice meditative prayer, which is obviously a traditional practice. It's not like a charismatic practice. But before that, I was doing sacramental things, but not talking to Jesus as if he's real and he's present with me. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and this is where the dichotomy I think is, because as of formation for the actual missionaries, as they're called on Net, or the supervisors, you get incredible formation. How to reconcile, conflict resolution, how to, like, before Net, I was one of those guys who would just hang around girls all the time. You know what I mean? Like I was in show choir in high school. I was in drama, and it's easy to hang around girls. They don't challenge you, right? And they like whatever. And then I had to be in a relationship with a girl to feel like I was complete. But Net taught me how to treat men as brothers and women as sisters first. And so that formation, when I met Amber, my wife, and she was on my team, like I would have just dated her day one and like messed it all up. But because of the formation, I was like, okay, my sister. And it was redirecting all of that masculine energy away from corrupted things and towards things like service and prayer and those types of things. So I think I agree with what you're saying, but the dichotomy is, like, as a mission, I do think it's kind of like when is the new evangelization going to come? Like, we keep waiting for this new evangelization. We think another retreat's going to do the job. That's not true, because you have millions of people showing up for retreats, and yet parishes are empty. It's because seeds are scattered, but they don't take root. And the traditional liturgy is that like rich, fertile soil that we need. Like, we need that stability. So when I discovered the Latin Mass, it was Net that gave me that, like, reinvigorated and formed my faith, I would say. And then it was the Latin Mass where I found a home for that faith. I felt like I had solid ground. And I think the difference is, like, as a ministry, I think, yeah, fine. And I have issues with certain aspects of charismatic prayer. Definitely if I play the guitar and I'm with my kids and we're singing to God, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have a leader with other souls and you're calling on the Holy Spirit to lead this time of prayer, I'm just like, just go to the adoration chapel. Just, go to confession, go to mass, like go, those are more edifying and sanctifying for you. But as a formation for the leadership, like, I think is exceptional. And the leadership at Net are some of the best men I've ever met. Like, I'm still in contact with them, and they like what I'm doing with Mass of the Ages. So it's really weird, because I wouldn't describe myself as a charismatic person, but I have some trappings from my time with Net. Like,
yeah, I still got some nostalgia for that period too. It's like look, like my faith was formed listening to the Franciscan guys, and it's like, then I found a home for that. It's like you're hearing Scott Hahn describe the Mass as where heaven meets earth, and like you're trying to find that at the Novus Ordo. You're like, all right, I know that's what it's supposed to be, but then you actually see it connect when you go to the traditional liturgy, and you're like, oh, this is what they were talking about. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
I got it. Somebody actually said something pretty important I wanted to get to. They said, I'm interested what you think of this, because Rob and I have discussed it a few times. We've actually even played different clips of actors playing Jesus. And like we make the joke, it's like, oh, I have a personal relationship with Jonathan Rumi Jesus, or I have a personal relationship with Robert Powell Jesus, or I have a personal relationship with Jim Caviezel.
Now
Jesus.
we're gonna have what's his name, Norwegian Jesus.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Norwegian Jesus when Mel Gibson comes out with his new one. It's like, do you see any danger in actors playing Jesus? Because the Robert Powell Jesus played a very big part of my imagination of Jesus. Anytime, like growing up, especially because I watched Jesus of Nazareth 100 times growing up. So, do you think there's any danger in an actor playing Jesus or a filmmaker portraying the life of Christ?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the power trip or the psychological like temptations that come along with that, like you're not playing the president or a pharaoh, like you're playing the son of God. And so, I mean, I think Jonathan Rumi seems to be handling it all right. He doesn't seem to be, but he's a huge celebrity. Like people are going nuts whenever he's at a
people
place.
confessing their sins to him in public. Like people come up and want to confess. Like he's like, I'm not a priest.
So there's obvious dangers to that. Yeah, huge danger.
Is there a danger for the viewer?
I would say it's less dangerous for the viewer. I mean, we have icons of Jesus that look very different. Those are different images of Christ. I think like the Passion of the Christ, after I saw that, whenever I pray the rosary, like since then, it's like I'm thinking of those images, like the scourge.
But isn't that the danger? So when you talk about icons, right? Icons have a bit of an uncanny valley to them. Especially like ancient icons.
You mean like Eastern icons, like
but even early Western icons, like it wasn't until like the Renaissance where you start getting actual models that the artists are painting the models. But proper iconography should have a bit of uncanny valley to it, and I think that's because you don't want to imagine a specific person's face when you're meditating on, like when you're praying the rosary. Like I too, like if you're doing the Sorrowful Mysteries, you're imagining Jim Caviezel at that pillar. Like I do think there's a danger in that. I'm not saying I know everything, but it just there comes that danger.
You can come at it from two directions. Like one direction is God took on human flesh in a very particular way. And Christ has a very particular face and nose and eyebrows, and that's him forever. And he is worshipful. And that is the image, right? That is the ultimate image. So portraying that image, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with someone doing it in a play. If my son was Jesus in a play, it's like, okay. If there's nothing wrong in principle with that, I would say there's nothing wrong in principle with Jonathan Rumi doing it. But I agree it's dangerous. Yeah. So like if I find myself praying and in my head I have the image of Jonathan Rumi in my worship, that is a danger.
Not just a mental image, like a visual image,
but like the personality.
The person of the way Rumi plays Jesus, sometimes a little too soft. So what we did was we actually played a comparison of Jonathan Rumi confronting the Pharisees versus
Desmond.
Yeah.
Like versus Robert Powell confronting the Pharisees versus, I think you remember Lost. Desmond plays Jesus in a movie. It's the Gospel of John, where and we played all three of them. And there's a very big difference in each way each one plays him. And it's like there's something about the written word where you go in with a kind of a blank slate where
for the record, did you know Desmond's name is actually Desmond?
Is it really?
Yeah, Desmond Hume.
No, that's his name on Lost. That's his name on Lost.
Oh crap, you're right.
His name on Lost is Desmond Hume.
Henry Cusick. Sorry.
Yeah, his name's not Desmond Banana.
Okay, we're cutting this. We're editing that one out.
That's, honestly, it's not as bad as me thinking right now is daylight savings time. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like put you on the spot or anything. We just have.
No, I don't.
I've thought a lot about this, because when you read the written word of the Gospels, like when I picture Jesus in John chapter 8 confronting the Pharisees, like I see him like angry with them, like your father is the devil, you know. And then Jonathan Rumi's like, he's just very gentle and soft, and it seems like a very feminized version, like a version women are comfortable with. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot if you ever meet him.
I think you make good points, and I don't have my mind made up. It's hard for me personally to say that something like The Passion of the Christ with Jim Caviezel, it's bad when people picture those images when they're praying the rosary. Like I get what you're saying. I think there is a line that people can cross, but it's kind of like with anything. Like, does this do more good than harm? Anything can do harm. Anything can. Like when a kind of another biblical example is when the movie Noah came out. So it just botched a lot of the stuff from the narrative. With Russell Crowe, Noah, like giant rock monsters in it. It had an interesting child playing, the angel or God. Like, it was really compelling, but you could argue that movie did more good than evil, because after that movie came out, the Google searches for the original text in Genesis like skyrocketed, like unprecedented amount of people went to the original source.
People wanted to compare the actual story to the movie. What's interesting,
they fed themselves with the real story because of that movie. And so, you can say, yes, harm was done, was more good done. I don't know. That's a little bit more like this. But with something like The Passion of the Christ, I'm just like, I can't see how that's bad.
No, the Passion for me in my home is a liturgical act. We watch it on Good Friday every year. My whole family watches it together, and we're like very focused. It's a liturgical act in my home, right? So I kind of want to take the Passion out of that equation, because it's almost like the exception to what I'm talking about, right?
It's pretty perfect. You're right.
It really is a masterpiece, that movie. What's interesting about Noah is that it's in a time period before like Moses receives the commandments. It's so early in the story,
super ancient.
Like the world really is a weird place, and it's not, it's like right after they leave the garden, and so it's like I kind of got some of their artistic liberties in that. Even with the rock people, it's like they're described in scripture as like watchers, and it's I wasn't too upset with Noah. I thought Noah was decent.
So with The Chosen, do you think it does more good than harm?
So my in-laws started going back to church because of The Chosen. I know a lot of people who like
your in-laws are Lutheran.
They are. I'm just saying. I do know a lot of people that went back to church because of The Chosen. I personally thought there were some really moving scenes in The Chosen. But like I said, I feel like it's dangerous to portray Jesus as just so like I feel like they show the humanity of Jesus really well in that show, but they do not show the divinity of Jesus that well in that show. That's kind of my issue with The Chosen.
I think what the missing piece is, because I agree with you, and I agree that it does do a lot of good. There's a lot of good in it, but I think the difference between that and The Passion of the Christ is The Passion of the Christ draws from the mystical tradition. So from Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dolores Passion, I think it's called. Whereas The Chosen's kind of like this evangelical imagination project.
Yeah, and whenever you do that, you're going to get this, right? You're always going to get them. They get Mary completely wrong and stuff like that. So it's just good.
So it waters down to become this, it's almost like imagined by a middle-aged woman at Bible study. Like it's like, this is a nice Jesus, but I thought artistically there are some scenes that come alive in a very effective way. But then again, like one scene that I think it's really frustrating to me, and it's more subtle, is the Martha and Mary sequence. So we know the story, right? Jesus comes over, Martha's working, she's trying to get everything together, Mary's just there listening. And then Jesus says in the scriptures, Mary has chosen the better part. And in the Chosen, he says, Mary has chosen the better part, but she could have helped a little bit. It's like this.
Yeah, it's like
And
throwing
it's
these
like,
little
no,
things in.
that undermines what Jesus was saying. He wanted to make a point that, guys, union with God and nothing else. Like the point that every saint makes, God and nothing, like God alone. Nothing is the statement of St. John of the Cross, is the road to God. Nothing. And so to say, oh, she should have helped, that's what a human says.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because that's kind of the crisis we're in the church right now. Interestingly enough, right? Like, and you could bring this to the liturgy, to everything. It's like the church is so preoccupied with corporal works of mercy instead of the spiritual works of mercy right now. They're so like it's all about helping migrants, it's all about climate change, it's all about all these worldly things, and they just won't sit at the feet of Christ at the moment. And it's like that is the epitome of the crisis we're in. So it's interesting that you're even bringing up.
You can almost feel the tension that must have been like in the writer's room on set. That's like, I'm uncomfortable with Jesus saying this.
Yeah.
That he said Mary chose the better part because she's not doing anything. Like you can almost feel the discomfort. It's like, that's the point. Like
it's because Jesus can't be mean.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and if he just says, no, she chose the better part, it comes off like he's being mean, and they can't grasp the idea that Jesus was stern at times.
Exactly. He's not just mean with the Pharisees. Like he's stern with his closest friends. And obviously I wish they did, the Eucharistic discourse, but you can't, even if they just did it like word for word in scripture, it'd be way too Catholic. But I have one day I would love to get Jonathan Rumi on a set and we just film that. Let's do just John 6 with Jonathan Rumi.
Just fix this. Yeah. I haven't watched the Last Supper episode yet.
Neither have I. I still need to watch it.
Yeah, I still have, so I'm caught up except for that last thing they put out, and it's almost like I'm hesitant to, because I know they're going to butcher it because it'll be too Catholic. If you just state the scripture, it'll just be too Catholic for them.
Well, did you see that scene where he's giving the keys to Peter in scripture? He's like, like, who do you say that I am? And then Peter confesses him, and then he says, blessed are you, Peter, and I give you keys and so forth. So in The Chosen,
he gives it to everyone.
Says, what's that?
He gives the keys to everyone.
Yeah, he like stops looking at Peter, and then he starts like looking at everyone, like all the women and everything. It's just like, why that artistic choice, Dallas?
Because it's too Catholic, right? What is interesting though is in Matthew, because Catholics love to point out Matthew 16:18, where Jesus gives Peter specifically the keys to the kingdom, but he does give the power to bind and loose in the next chapter to all of the apostles. So if you go to Matthew 19, Jesus does give the power to bind and loose to all of the apostles, but he does specifically give the keys to the kingdom and the power to bind and loose specifically to Peter. So but anything that's going to, there was a couple of interesting scenes where I don't know why this became a Chosen review show, but I just figured it was an interesting thing to ask a filmmaker. So, all right. So what else do you have? You have other ideas that you're working on, or is this show where you're putting all your energy right now? What other? Ideas
So Mass of the Ages, we're focused on 3 things right now. Maybe 4 things. You can add a 4th, but the 3 things we're focusing on is, so our trilogy was seen by millions of people, so 5 million people on YouTube and many more than that, and it's reached people in the hierarchy. We want to increase that tenfold. So we want to promote the trilogy. People can actually go on our website, latinmass.com, click on Watch the Trilogy, and you can pre-order the DVD. It's going to have the whole trilogy in it. $50 pre-orders it. It's all 3 films, so you can give them out. And we want to promote the trilogy just to bring the Latin Mass. We really think the trilogy has just started, changing minds and changing lives. So we want to keep promoting that. Secondly is our priest training. So it's free. Any priest, anyone can learn the Latin Mass for free online, and it's an exceptional training. And they can find that at latinmass.com/priests. And finally, we have a new show coming out. So you can imagine a travel show mixed with tradition, Catholic tradition, where Austin Peck, he's this crazy, awesome, cool Catholic actor. He was in Days of Our Lives, handsome, funny, super nuts. He travels around to locations, to different living traditions. And the show is called Discover Tradition. So we announced this actually at Giving Tuesday last year, but we're done with the premiere episode, or we're wrapping up the color and music. But that comes out on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, but only to people who have donated a certain amount. Because eventually, like what we did with the trilogy was give it away and hope people fund another project. That was not sustainable. Can't just give it away for free and hope people donate. So our model now is we have a period where it's like a streamer, we have something called the Vault. So if you donate a certain amount, you get access to all the interviews. Like we interviewed Michael Knowles and Taylor Marshall and Peter Kwasniewski for literally 4 hours. And if you want access to that, your donation of a certain amount gets you access to that. So it's all on our website. We're releasing Discover Tradition, Semana Santa, which is the first premiere episode, on December 12th on our website, on the Vault for people who've given. Eventually, it'll be online free for everyone to see. But what we hope happens this next month, it starts next week, but you guys can get a head start on it, is that people help bring this project to life. Dan Driver, who you guys know, he's part of our team. He was the showrunner for this and really knocked it out of the park. So I had a supervisory role. I wasn't the director of this, but full approval. It's great. It has my complete stamp of approval on it. And it's going to be awesome. It's a way to bring shows like this to the world. Oh, but my camera's going out. It's bringing shows like this to the world, not once a year, but every few months. Like we have a way to produce these, every few months. So the show is called Discover Tradition. If you go to discovertradition.org, you can see our landing page for that. There we go. Discovertradition.org.
Do you have a place people could donate so you can get a better webcam?
Oh coming from you, Ant. Wow.
I think it's my computer that I've had for years.
I'm in the same boat.
It's actually a really good webcam. It has AI tracking like Rob's. So it's pretty cool.
Mine's pretty cheap. Mine doesn't have AI tracking. Cameron, I hope you become a friend of the show, man. I've always wanted to talk with you. I wanted to talk with you when you were at the height of these documentaries. It wasn't because I wanted our show to grow. Like I loved all three of those films. Like the first one, especially, I sat my kids down and they were like dreading that dad was making them watch a documentary. I was like, we're watching it as a family. My kids were crying after the end of the first one. They were like, that was such a good documentary. Oh my God. Like they loved it. And it helped them develop a love for the Latin Mass. And it was like right around the time I was making them go and stuff. So those films really did have a big effect on me and my family. So that's why I wanted to get you on. But any other projects you want to promote, you're more than welcome to come on. We'll help you out with that.
Thank you. I mean, that's the power of movies, right? Like we need to keep all the books published and podcasts published, but if we want to move the world, like what the popes are saying, we got to have a commanding influence, something that reaches not individuals but multitudes. We got to invest in films, in media like that. And so we want to bring Catholic tradition to the world, and that's what Discover Tradition is doing. Movie Crusade is a fun review show. You can learn more about how the church actually thinks about movies and ratings. But yeah, I appreciate the open invitation. But as you know, I don't like talking in public.
Yeah, no, I know.
We do have one super chat. And if it wasn't super chat, I maybe wouldn't bring it up, but it is. So you already talked about the DVDs, but will any of the SSPX interviews ever be released or produced or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for the super chat. What percentage of that do I get?
We'll send you $3. Don't worry.
We'll donate
We'll
something.
We'll send you $3. We'll make you make everything in your life difficult right now for answering the SSPX question. For
No,
$3.
that's any questions fair game. So the SSPX thing is really in their court. So we have a version of episode 3. Like, you know, you mentioned the Africa sequence.
Mhm.
Like, imagine a sequence, but it's all about the SSPX. It's their argument, their claims, Bishop Fillet. They're laying out the case why Lefebvre did what he did. But for those of you who watched the film is very sympathetic to the fraternity's position. And that's just, as a filmmaker, that's the perspective. We let them say their piece, but it wasn't enough to say the piece. They didn't like that the film was sympathetic to the fraternity. My hope is, well, and I get where they're coming from. It's just like we're favoring the thing that undermines their position. You know, I understand that. We're hoping that the door is still open, and we'd love to do something with that footage. We don't even need to make money from it. We just want people to see it. But we're going to respect their wishes that we don't show it to anyone. But we haven't reached out to them in a while, actually. I mean, this is before they released they're doing like a documentary too on the Mass. They're doing a series. So
the society is like, none of their priests are online. None of their priests, they just don't. They're not in that world. Like, there's no SSPX priests. Like, they just don't. They're non-existent. You know, so it's a position I actually really love about them, that they're very they're very dignified. They're like, no, this is what we do, and we're not gonna, be silly on the internet or whatever. They're not gonna say something embarrassing on the internet, or that's gonna get them into hot water on the internet. I respect that about them.
Yeah, me too. When we were at the seminary, like, just super impressed with the character of those men. They were incredible. But yeah, it's I thought the interview with Bishop Fillet was phenomenal. One of my favorite interviews. I was really like pushing back on things, and that's when you get some of the best interaction. It's like you're forcing them to dig deep and really think critically to what they're saying. So there's a lot of good stuff there. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, we should reach out to them again and see if there's something we can do with that, because especially if it's like its own thing, like imagine a video that's just what the SSPX think, you know?
You also got a decent amount of pushback after episode 2 from a lot of the, I won't name names, but
Trad recovery crowd.
For the Trad recovery conference crowd, like, you caught a lot of, because I thought episode 2, first off, the music, like, showing where the root of some of the Novus Ordo music is, like, it was like, holy cow, man, My Little Pony became a freaking liturgical song. Like, are you kidding me?
One of our local Novus Ordo parishes uses that Gloria, and
you got to
episode 2 ruined it for me forever.
Yeah.
So you did catch a lot of grief from that crowd over there. Like, did that affect episode 3 at all?
Sorry, what was the end of your question?
Did that affect your approach to episode 3 at all? Like, because I look, we were in a very difficult situation. We had a pope that was very controversial. You're dealing with the Latin Mass. You want to make sure people don't think you're being schismatic at all. Like, did that pressure hit you at all?
To be honest, maybe. And I would say in this aspect, which is, someone could watch episode 2 and think like, so the thesis of episode 2 is something went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the church messed up. You know, we're not saying Vatican II did it, or a pope, the papacy is wrong, or we're saying what the church did in her discipline in this concilium, they messed up. There's no doubting that. Like, a mess was made, a perfect storm. But you could watch that film and say, like, there's some holes in it in terms of like, well, from like a sedevacantist position, it's like, yeah, that's why we hold that position. Yeah. And so there, I would say probably the only way that it affected what we did in episode 3 was just to make sure we showed that the church survives this, not because of us. It's because of Christ and the Holy Spirit. So
would
that
you
might
go
be the
back
only way
and
it affected it.
would you go back and change anything, or you're happy with the final product and that's
For episode 2?
For any of them? Like for any of them, do you wish you would have took a little? Maybe I would have tweaked this a little bit. Like, is there any post edit regret?
There's always that. Like, film is never finished; it's just released. So, I'm trying to think of an example, but I wouldn't say like any major things. Like each of those films, I'm proud of because of what they set out to do, and I made sure they were very unique. Like, you notice that the intros of each film are very different. It's like we're trying to pull the rug out from you right away and tell you a different story. Like,
they're 3 distinct episodes. Like, they're not.
Right.
It's not one stretched out episode cut in 3 parts. They're 3 distinct stories.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't change anything substantial about it. But as a director editor, I'm cringing at certain things. Like, man, why did I tell Timothy Flanders to not wear a tie and not tuck his shirt? I'm just like,
You wanted him to look approachable.
That was my fault. Yeah, I was just like, I know you want to wear a suit, but wearing a suit in your living room, it just feels weird to me. Just like, I want you to relax. But honestly, he would have been cool as a cucumber in his suit. And actually that's pretty natural for him. It's like his natural habitat. But yeah, there's things like that. I was like, oh, I wish I did that differently. But
you gotta, man, it's such a weird world you're diving into. You're in the trad world, right? And the trad world, everybody wants to make it like, oh, tradition is so unified. It's like, no, there's so many different tribes in traditional Catholicism. It's like you got the SSPX tribe, you got the Sedevacantists, you got the diocesan tribes, and then everybody's got like their different views within those tribes. And it is messy. Like, it's just like Catholicism right now is a messy world. It's like when people convert, I'm like, welcome to the most dysfunctional family on the planet, man. It's messy.
What we set out to do with Mass Ages is actually pretty naive in retrospect. It's like, how are you going to pull that off? Because you're trying to thread this needle while riding a bull or something. It's like, how can you do that? But really, to be honest, it's not because I'm a creative genius. It's just because I have to fail and lean on the Lord. And he is always faithful. And so God threaded that needle. And I think that is the reason that these films will stand the test of time. And the reason that if you go in the comments section, it's a very unified front. It's just like, wow, how did this happen? You know, but I agree with you. I mean, episode 2 in particular, we knew like we wanted a balance. We don't want to pull punches, but we don't want to take any cheap shots. And there's going to be people on both sides saying, why did you pull punches? Or why didn't you say this? And so we were expecting that. So it wasn't a surprise that there was critiques from both sides.
I tell you, a lot of people's episode 2 is their favorite one, man. Like, episode 1 is my favorite because I think the storytelling was masterful. Like, I think the storytelling of episode 1 is masterful. And the reason I don't think episode 2 is my favorite is because I knew all that stuff, right? So because I had already learned all that stuff. So, but for somebody watching that stuff for the first time, that is eye-opening. And you're like, holy cow, if you don't know that stuff, that like I could see why episode 2 is a lot of people's favorite. So it's man, I don't know. I love what you did. I hope you do another documentary because I think you're a great storyteller and you're a really, really great director. So
I will be. And we're in talks right now about some documentaries, and it's just when you make 3 of them, I could not watch a documentary with my wife for a long time. I'm living it. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm always thinking about it, trying to make it better, trying to solve different problems. And it took over my life. And I'm glad it did. It's a worthy effort and worthy project. And I want to spread it around the world. But I'm not out of the game with docs. Like I love docs. I love making them. I think I have a knack for them. So I think the Lord will lead me to more of them in the future.
I'm gonna pitch Cameron a show idea in the green room. Maybe we could get my show idea made. I've wanted to do it for so long. I just don't have the resources. So we'll see, guys. Cameron, anything okay, so it is Movie Crusade. Is it on the Mass of the Ages YouTube channel, or did you start a new
No,
channel?
we separated them because it's a very different thing. You know,
Yeah, the
one is
algorithm doesn't like when you do stuff like that.
The subscribe
Yeah.
link is pinned in the live chat. So go there
Great.
to subscribe.
So it's at the Movie Crusade. You find it on YouTube. And then Discover Tradition is the Mass of the Ages show, discovertradition.org.
Okay. Cameron, this was fun, man. Thank you for sticking for the hour and a half. I know tedious conversation with us, but
thanks for looking out for the little guy. I appreciate it.
Also, I'll throw you a few other shows to promote that on when let's hang out. We'll talk in the green room. I'll tell you another show or two you should go on.
Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's see here. Let me find a good outro. Do I have the perfect one here?
This is going to be good.
I do. This one, I know you love Novus Ordo Hems, Cameron. So this one is for you, buddy.
Come to the feast of heaven and earth. Come to the table of plenty. God will provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty.
Oh, come and sit at my table, where saints and sinners are friends. I wait to welcome the lost and lonely to share the cup of my love. Come to the feast of heaven and earth. Come to the table of plenty.
God will provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty.